do not love his kid.
And I don't know if it's about so much as love as much as, it goes back to what you're, like I think with my mother, knowing my mother, because I know her past, and knowing all of her. Well, what I was going to say, but what I'm saying is I don't know if it's that she didn't love as much as I know the other issues my mother has.
Okay.
And so that the availability to offer that. I mean, there's some self-healing stuff that she needed to do.
Yeah.
Because how can she give something she doesn't? I mean, I think she was mustering all as much as she could with her natural born. Right. And so now we have to have this other element, and I got to deal with this other element's mother. And I think my mother, honestly, just wasn't in a space in her own healing, her own. Your mother must have had a lot of. There was always some wholeness going on there where she could offer.
I think beyond. Part of that is her father.
Okay.
My grandfather has 1, 2, 3, 4 separate families. Mm-hmm. 4 separate families. Some of them when he was married to the other one. There's a bunch of sisters and brothers. So that's what she was used to.
Right.
My grandfather had 2 sons with his first wife. Mm-hmm. Then he married my grandmother and had 4 kids. No, 3 kids with them. But while he was married to her, he started this other family in Michigan, and he had 3 kids over here. Wow. And then after he divorced her, he married her for a short time, but she already had 3 kids with him. And then they got a divorce, and he got another wife and had 2 kids.
So see how deep he comes from.
And the stories are going to dictate how much love you can give and how much love you just can't. Mm-hmm. And, and telling somebody you need to love, I mean, it depends on their story, and their story may be able to give them that.
Yeah.
And I know, like, to this day, my mother doesn't have that story. Yeah. So she's not going to pop up now and just because, ooh, that sounded great. Cool, but she's not going to do it.
I mean, you got to be true to yourself.
Right,
exactly. And true to yourself.
And I mean, I think that there's a lot of healing that should happen so that she could be more of that. Mm-hmm. But where she's at, she's where she's at. So, that's that. But so I think that I don't know if it's always about loving as much as what is your story and what space do you have to grow. And you got to work here. I actually was going to say I have a counselor I know who. He was explaining that he's seeing so much more blended families now in his counseling session. And like he's having to really facilitate. He's like, it's never been this high before where he's had this many clients that are blended families.
But that's what was interesting about the gentleman who got up and talked about the workshop, because I never heard about a workshop for that reason, because I'm thinking traditional blended, you married and you have kids and I have kids and we're one. Yeah. And when he blew this cap off, it was like as if, wow, he exposed my thinking to that's what's happening to our people.
Exactly.
We're bringing in
the same God.
We're bringing in cousins and we're bringing in, aunts are raising children that aren't theirs and grandparents, and we're bringing in all of them. And so now what's happening? There's no healing.
Absolutely.
But if you can sit down and you as a counselor can help to navigate this family. Some of it's going to be natural, like that's just what it is. So just come on in, and I'm not asking my grandmother. Oh Lord, I know, I got 7 grandparents. But I'm thinking, like, what were my cousins thinking when my uncle's children? Like, what were they thinking? Like, I'm not welcome because I wasn't an heir to the daughter of you. I don't know. I think it's just we have to have more of these conversations.
No,
I think we have to have.
Because I don't even think we're seeing. I mean, as you said, you don't have experience. I mean, we're not even seeing it as that. So how can we work on something that, if there needs to be work, that we don't even acknowledge as maybe a concern or.
Well, I think if it's working well.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's fine.
If
but
it's
I
working
think a lot
well,
of people don't even. The people that are not working well, they're not even recognizing why it might not be working well. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of trying to go through the motions. And it's like, no, there's a lot of healing.
I wish they had that workshop when I was in the thick of things, because there was one child who was like my nemesis. Now I love him dearly.
Do you think that affects it in the marriage? I mean, do you think that was
the demise of my marriage is directly related to how he was with my daughter and the amount of responsibility that he left on me with his children.
So you were caregiver for his children. So you feel like you were the mom for his Was he the parent for yours?
He never fully embraced her as his daughter, to me, in my opinion.
And how old was she when
3, when we first started to date?
Yeah.
3. She turned 4. Was she 4? Might have been 4. 3 or 4. And his were 6, 7, and 12. I went to his 13th birthday. And I fully embraced them. Now, the middle child gave me the most difficulty because I think he missed his mother more and wanted his mother. And she would pop in and out of his life, and I have to reset and reset them and everything every time she popped back out. So he was the most difficult. But I was all in. I was 100% all in. I even learned how to do boy things. We played football. My mother used to be like, you do have a daughter. Like, everything y'all do centered around boys.
Because the children came into your life before your son?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So then you have, then you have resentment from, you have these children that you didn't give birth to, then you have another child, and then...
And I never saw that between us because they're so much older. Like, the youngest of his children just graduated from law school. That's Jimmy, and he's 27. He's 27. And my son just turned 18. So, there's a big age difference, 9 years from the youngest. So they loved him. He was a little, he was like their little baby brother. So it was never, the resentment was with my daughter, who's 3 years younger than his youngest, and 4 years younger than his middle child. And, you know what I mean? And it's 6, 7 years younger than the oldest one.
Did the siblings, so did your daughter get along with his sons?
Yeah, they got along, but there were times when there was tension because my mother made a real big difference with my daughter.
But
she didn't accept them as her grandchildren.
So she was like him. So he didn't accept your daughter, and then your mother didn't really accept his kids.
Initially, he was accepting of my daughter. When he saw how my mother was acting, then he was like, "Oh, okay.
Never mind.
Well, then I'm not accepting her either." And they had this thing. That's what happened. And my daughter got caught up in.
So is this like a power struggle? Like, cause sometimes it's ownership. Like, this is mine and this is yours. And
I think it was kind of a mine, yours kind of thing. And my first husband was always very good financially to his daughter, and he always came and got her for the summer. And she had a lot more opportunities and exposure to do things that his children did not have until I came along and I said, we're going to do this for them. I'm going to do that for them. They're going to go here and there. And we were just totally opposite. We were raised differently. So I added layers to their lives that they wouldn't have had they not been with me. So, but now there's this difference. My daughter's always had it, so she knows things they don't know.
But see, and that's where I can see it being a conflict, because now what happens if she is that child that's born of her father has means, but then this new dad doesn't. So now she's going and she's flying all over the world, and she gets gifts, and the children that are in the house don't get the gifts.
That's exactly
right.
And how bad it's got to the point where my mother would go to the store and get treats or whatever, and come to the house and say to the little kids, 7, 8, 9, or 9 and 10-year-olds, "These are for my granddaughter. These are hers. Put no name on. These are hers." Like, whoa! How do you tell little kid that they can't have the treats?
But see, my question then becomes for you as the mom: where were you in all this, putting the name on the treats and allowing
So
her
when
to
she
have?
left, I would tell her you can't do that. So you can leave it if you want to, but everybody's gonna get some. You're not gonna exclude. So she would do stuff like, go and get my daughter, take stuff to her house, and she would give her stuff at her house, or she would go shopping for her and then come and sit in the living room and have her try on everything, this big old bag of clothes, and not get anything for them.
Oh yeah, but see, interestingly, that happens to not just with the grandmother coming into the house. That happens then when you blended, and then there's other people who are doing that. Women sometimes tend to do that. These are my kids, and those are your kids, and I'm going to treat my kids differently than yours.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. My sister married a man who had 3 kids before, so she had a blended family, and her own daughter, and then her husband had 3 kids. But my mom, so that technically wasn't her, biological grandmother, but she's always, still to this day, she always buys stuff for the other for the stepchildren or whatever. I mean, she doesn't, divide them at all. She's very with that. But with my houses, she couldn't do it. So I don't.
There cause her pain.
There's another story there.
She just
hasn't told.
Going back, you don't mean always sit back. So
something happened.
Could have been something that she couldn't get past. Like I don't know what my mother's reason. I'm assuming as a woman what my mother's reasons was, and I know the dynamics,
right?
Because other members of the family would talk about those dynamics. So I understood how my sister's mom really was in love with him. So I understood.
And if she disrespected your mom's marriage over and over again, then that would cause.
And I don't know how because I don't know how you get over that or how you get past it. So I'm sure my mother's position was, I have control and I have pour, and this is what I'm going to exercise control over. Which is, she can't come here. Not only can she not come here, you better not ever mention her. Period. Point blank. And so, the other thing I wanted to do in the wrap up of blended family, I know, is there ever a time when you should not blend the families? Is there ever a time when you should not?
I think if there's been any kind of abuse. I think absolutely not. I think when there's, sexual abuse or physical abuse, emotional, just apparent abuse or whatever, there has to be a line.
Or if that child is going to be destructive to the household.
And it's tough though if the child doesn't have anywhere else to go. And you really we have to find a way to deal with this. And so it's like, what do? You are the stopping point for this child.
So then do you go into care mode of, we have to get help? Like, do you
therapy?
Do the things that you would do with your children?
Absolutely.
Do you do those things? Because I think sometimes that's missing or lacking. We may not go the extra mile if it's not our biological child. We may not be willing to sacrifice.
And it's tough with even with the therapy, because my sister faces that with her husband. His kids have just, it's quite sad. They've gone through a lot, and they need therapy in the biggest of ways. But he's not open And so my sister now has just watched her. She's like, I can't. I know that these kids need A, B, C, D. But these kids are now adults, young adults at this point. So they're not technically, they're on their own, but they're having really screwed up adult lives right now.
Yeah.
And, she's still telling me, even though they're adults and they're on their own, they still need help. And you're still their father. You still need to get in there and offer. And, his story comes, whatever, he's not valuing that. He's just not feeling like that. I'll buy her a car instead. Buy the child a car. That'll heal the crazy. It's like, no, that's not going to heal. You need the counseling.
Yeah.
And so just trying to, implement that. But that then if the parent isn't open to it, or if all parties aren't open to it.
But how cool would it be if everybody knew about blended family counseling?
Oh yeah.
Where you can sit down and actually talk about.
Or just understood counseling. And then counseling period is not
that's not called counseling. We're not going to call it counseling. We're going to say there's this workshop.
Every week we go to.
There's a workshop that we're going to go to. Well, this is great. Thank you, everybody, for talking shit with LSH. I love the topics. I love your input and your feedback. And join me again. Okay, so that's the juice, everyone. Thank you for joining Talking Shit with LSH and the baddies. You've just been unleashed. Now go unleash a few more baddies in the world. Peace.